You know that feeling, right? Starting Monday, I'll finally do it. I'll lose the weight. I'll learn that language. I'll launch my business. I'll finally start living my real life. We all live waiting for that magical later, when all the conditions are perfect. But there is a brutal truth about this habit, one articulated by the Stoic philosopher Seneca 2,000 years ago. And it goes like this: while we are postponing life, life speeds by. This isn't just a pretty quote, it's a diagnosis for our generation. In this video, we're not going to just admire ancient wisdom. We're going to take this single phrase and turn it into the most powerful and arguably the most necessary kick in the rear end you'll ever receive. I promise that by the end of this video, you will look at your tomorrow differently and perhaps, for the first time, truly feel the value of your today. Are you ready to hear something you might not like, but which is guaranteed to change your life? Before we dive in, let's take a moment and step back into ancient Rome. Imagine a man named Lucius Annius Seneca. He wasn't just a philosopher sitting in an ivory tower. He was one of Rome's wealthiest men, an advisor to Emperor Nero himself, a playwright, and a statesman. He witnessed the greatest luxuries and the dirtiest political backstabbing. His life was a whirlwind of triumphs and devastating falls, ending tragically at the command of his own student, Nero. Why does this context matter? Because Seneca's philosophy, Stoicism, wasn't born in the quiet isolation of a library. It was forged in the epicenter of human passion, ambition, and danger. His advice on time, life, and death isn't theory. It's the hard-earned practice of a man who knew exactly how easy it was to lose everything, including his life itself. So when Seneca tells us that we are wasting our time, we need to listen closely. He saw it with his own eyes every single day. So let's start with the biggest self-deception that we all live by. It is the illusion of tomorrow. Our brain is wired to feel incredibly comfortable delegating difficult tasks to some future version of ourselves. We picture this tomorrow's me as a superhero. They'll have more energy, more motivation, more time. They will easily accomplish what we don't have the strength for today. But then tomorrow arrives, and what happens? Nothing. We are still the exact same person, burdened by the same fears and the same exhaustion. And once again, we push everything off onto a new, even more mythical, future self. Seneca called this the greatest waste of life. He said, "All the future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." Imagine you have a bank account from which a set amount is withdrawn every single day, regardless of whether you actually spent it or not. Time is that very account. And every day you postpone living, you are simply allowing this invaluable resource to burn away, irrevocably. Tomorrow is guaranteed to no one. What truly lies behind that classic, "I'll start tomorrow"? More often than not, it's not laziness, even though we like to think it is. It's actually fear. Primarily, the fear of failure. What if I actually try and it doesn't work out? What if I pour in all my energy, time and money and walk away empty-handed? This kind of fear is completely paralyzing. We feel safe believing that as long as we do nothing, we are protected. After all, you can't lose a game you never played. But this is the crucial trap. Failure is not the end of the world. It is simply feedback from reality. It's data. It's experience. Inaction, however, is guaranteed failure. You lose 100% of the opportunities you never even bothered to pursue. Picture an archer who is so afraid of missing the target that he never even bothers to draw the bowstring. It's true, he will never miss. But he will also never, ever hit the bullseye. The Stoics teach us to redefine failure. It is not a judgment on your value as a person. It is simply an outcome, largely outside of your ultimate control. What is fully under your control is the attempt itself, and failing to make the attempt out of fear, that is the true failure. Another treacherous enemy of action is the trap of perfectionism. We constantly wait for the perfect moment, the perfect skills, or the perfect resources. Once I finish just one more marketing book, then I'll launch the project. Once I lose these 5 kilos, then I'll finally go on that date. Once I save the perfect amount, then I'll start investing. But perfect conditions don't exist, ever. This waiting game is simply a sophisticated form of fear, masked as a responsible, diligent approach. Perfectionism is self-sabotage in a pretty wrapper. You set the bar so impossibly high that you're too intimidated even to start the jump. The truth is that done is always better than perfect, but unstarted. Your first attempt is going to be messy. Your first article will be rough. Your first business will probably fail miserably. And that is completely fine. It's part of the process. Instead of striving for an unattainable ideal, strive for progress. Just do something today, even if it's imperfect. That single action will be infinitely more valuable than spending years waiting for the perfect storm that will never, ever arrive. The next major roadblock on the path to inertia is analysis paralysis. This is the state where you spend so long meticulously weighing the pros and cons, planning and thinking, that you ultimately fail to take any action whatsoever. You devour dozens of articles, watch hundreds of videos, and compile endless to-do lists. You feel incredibly busy and productive, but in reality, you are just spinning your wheels. In the 21st century, information has become a curse. There is simply too much of it. You can always find one more article, one more course, one more expert opinion. This process is truly endless. It creates the illusion of momentum, but in reality, you are just running in place. Seneca offered this wisdom. While we postpone and debate where to begin, the opportunity to start has already passed. At some point, you just need to tell yourself, stop, that's enough information, it's time to act. How do we achieve this? Set a hard deadline for your research phase. For example, I will study this topic for 3 days, and on the 4th day, I will take the first concrete step, no matter how small it is. That first step is infinitely more valuable than 1,000 hours spent planning. We often assume that putting things off only costs us time, but that's far from the truth. Procrastination comes with a hidden, much steeper price tag. We aren't just losing hours and days. We're losing the emotions, the experiences, and the opportunities we could have embraced. If you postpone a trip, you're not just missing out on the journey itself. You're sacrificing the memories that could warm you for the rest of your life. When you put off having that important conversation with a loved one, you risk never getting to say those crucial words at all. If you delay leaving a job you hate, you are draining a piece of your soul and energy every single day. These are losses you can never recover. You might be able to catch up on lost time, but a missed moment, a missed joy, or a missed opportunity, that is gone forever. Imagine your life as a movie. Every day you put off something important, you're just staring at a blank screen. The film isn't running, and the longer you wait, the less footage you have left to record. Ask yourself this: what price am I paying right now for my inaction? Not sometime in the future, but today. A clear realization of this cost can be the most powerful motivation you'll ever find. Let's now take a deeper dive into Seneca's philosophy. What exactly did he mean when he spoke of life slipping away? For him and the other Stoics, time wasn't just another resource. It was the only resource that truly belonged to us. And crucially, it is entirely non-renewable. You can lose money and earn it back. You can fight with friends and make amends. But that minute that has passed, no one can ever give it back to you. Seneca famously wrote to his friend, "We complain that life is short, yet we behave as if it were endless. We generously hand out our time left and right, on pointless internet arguments, binge-watching silly shows, or socializing with people who completely drain our energy. Yet for the most crucial things, our dreams, our loved ones, taking care of ourselves, somehow we never seem to find the time." This, in Seneca's view, is the ultimate folly. He urged us to audit our time just as meticulously as we audit our bank accounts. Where is every hour of your day actually going? Is it bringing you joy, providing value, or moving you closer to your goals? Or is it simply passing by? One of the Stoics' most powerful tools for fighting the habit of putting life on hold is the practice of memento mori, which translates from Latin to remember death. Sounds morbid, doesn't it? But in reality, this is perhaps the most life-affirming concept you could ever imagine. The Stoics weren't advocating for depression or despair. They argued that recognizing your life is finite is the single best way to start truly valuing it right now, when you realize you don't have infinity in reserve, but a limited number of days. You begin asking yourself the right questions. Do I really want to spend this day doing what I'm currently doing? Is what I'm worrying about right now truly significant in the grand scheme of my life? This constant reminder of your own mortality works like a filter. It cuts away everything petty, insignificant, and superficial, leaving only what truly matters. This doesn't mean you should live in constant fear. Quite the opposite. It means living with greater courage, greater love, and a sharper attention to every single moment, because it might be your last. The core Stoic principle that helps us stop putting our lives on hold is the dichotomy of control. It sounds complicated, but the essence is incredibly simple. Everything in the world falls into one of two categories: things we can control and things we cannot. What's outside our control? The weather, the economy, what other people think of us, the past, and the distant future. What can we control? Only our own thoughts, our judgments, and our actions in the present moment. That's it. And this is where the key insight lies. Most of our anxiety and the reasons we freeze up stem from trying to control the uncontrollable. We worry about what others will think if we fail. We wait for the economy to stabilize. We dread the future. The Stoics tell us, stop it. That is a complete waste of energy. Focus instead on that tiny patch of reality that you do have power over, your actions right now. You can't control whether your business will be successful, but you can control whether you make one phone call to a potential client today. Focus on that, and that is how you break the paralysis. Seneca wrote with palpable bitterness about people whose entire existence is nothing but preparation for life itself. They study so they can eventually apply their knowledge. They save money so they can one day start enjoying it. They make plans hoping to finally realize them down the line. Seneca concludes that by the time they are truly ready to live, it's too late. Their time is up. This is a remarkably precise description of the delayed life syndrome. We live in perpetual draft mode, constantly assuming we'll eventually get around to writing the final perfect version. But there will be no final version. Life is what is happening right now while you are reading these words. This is not a rehearsal. Every single day is the premiere. Imagine you received a ticket to see your favourite band in concert, but instead of taking your seat, you sit out in the lobby, meticulously studying the evacuation plan and reading the musicians' biographies. You are so consumed by preparation that you miss the entire show. Sound absurd? Yet this is exactly how many of us treat our own lives. Stop preparing. It's time to step into the venue and listen to the music. Let's dissect another powerful quote from Seneca, one that truly hits the mark. We don't receive a short life, we make it one. We are not short of time, but prodigal with it. Stop for a moment and truly consider those words. Seneca is not arguing that we are allotted too little time. The real problem, he states, is how disastrously we manage what we already have. He compares life to a vast estate, a great fortune. If that fortune falls into the hands of a poor manager, it's quickly frittered away on nonsense and vanishes. But if it is overseen by a good steward, it multiplies and lasts for generations. Life works the exact same way. Spend it carelessly, and it feels fleeting and pointless. But if you fill every day with meaning, action, and love, even a relatively short lifespan will feel rich and complete. This radically shifts your perspective. Instead of complaining about the lack of time, we must ask ourselves, how am I managing the hours and days I actually possess? Am I that reckless manager, squandering my greatest wealth? It's an uncomfortable question, perhaps, but it is the single most important one we must all confront. All right, we've nailed down the problem diagnosis. Now let's turn our attention to the specific tools available in the Stoic arsenal. The first tool, and arguably the most effective for tackling the fear of failure, is the practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. The essence of this practice is not to run away from your fears, but rather to face them head-on. Sit down and deliberately, in vivid detail, imagine the absolute worst-case scenario. What is the most terrible thing that could happen if you try and fail? Will you be fired? Will you lose all your money? Will people laugh at you? Write all of these possibilities down. Then you ask yourself 3 crucial questions. First, what is the actual probability that this will occur? Quite often we realize that our fears are wildly exaggerated. Second, what steps can I take to either prevent this outcome entirely or mitigate the consequences? This instantly shifts your brain from a state of panic into solution-finding mode. And the third and most important question, how will I cope if this worst-case scenario actually does happen? You'll be surprised, but once you have a concrete action plan for failure, the failure itself stops being so terrifying. It transforms from a paralyzing threat into simply one more possibility that you are prepared for. The fear dissipates, and space for action opens up. There is another incredibly powerful tool used by Seneca and the Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius, journaling. But this isn't the kind of diary where you write, "Dear diary, I had oatmeal for breakfast today." It's a structured tool for deep self-reflection and bringing clarity to your mind. Every evening, the Stoics would ask themselves specific questions. What did I do well today? Where did I make mistakes? What lesson did I learn? How could I have handled that better? This practice helps you track exactly where your time and energy are being spent. When you start putting your thoughts, fears and excuses down on paper, they immediately lose their power over you. You get to look at them objectively and see how truly irrational they are. For example, you might write, "I didn't start working on the project today because I just wasn't inspired." Rereading that, you immediately realize how flimsy and foolish that excuse is. Inspiration almost always comes during the work itself, not before. Journaling acts like a mirror for your mind. It honestly shows you where you are lying to yourself and where you are actively sabotaging your own success. The regular practice of this evening self-audit works wonders. The central tenet that flows from the entire philosophy of Stoicism is the principle of act now. But how do you apply this when the task feels massive and overwhelming? Think of goals like write a book or build a business. Just contemplating them can lead to instant paralysis. The secret is to break that huge, daunting challenge down into microscopic, almost ridiculous steps. Don't aim to write a book. Aim to write 1 sentence today. Don't aim to build a business. Aim to spend 15 minutes researching the competition. Don't aim to get in shape. Aim to do 10 squats right now. The key is making that first move so incredibly small and simple that your brain has absolutely no excuse to sabotage it. It's simply too easy not to do. But the magic is that the first step inevitably leads to the second, and the second leads to the third. Momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. The hardest part is always getting the train moving from a dead stop. But once it's rolling, inertia takes over. Don't focus on the entire staircase. Focus only on the first step. Take one tiny action, right now. Another powerful psychological tool the Stoics frequently employed was shifting their focus entirely from the outcome to the action, from the result to the process. Why are we so terrified of starting? It's simple. We are fixated on the outcome. We crave success guarantees, but those simply don't exist. The final result is always dependent on countless external factors completely outside of our control. This constant lack of control fuels anxiety and leads to complete paralysis. The Stoics offer a simple antidote. Change your focus. Concentrate not on the grand achievement, but on the precise action you can take right now. Your goal shouldn't be winning the marathon, because that outcome relies on the performance of other runners and how you feel on race day. Instead, your goal is to run those 5 kilometers today, exactly according to your training plan. That action is entirely within your control. Your aim isn't to become rich, but rather to stick to your financial plan today and invest the planned amount. When you commit to focusing on the process, the anxiety simply melts away. You are just doing what needs to be done, one day at a time. And the result? It will materialize naturally as a welcome side effect of your consistent and disciplined actions. Learn to love the process, and the results will inevitably follow. We often put our own lives on hold, not due to a lack of time, but because our schedules are completely filled with other people's priorities and agendas. We dread saying no to a colleague, we attend meetings that bore us, and we spend hours stuck on the phone listening to others vent about their problems. The result is that we have neither the energy nor the time left for our own goals and dreams. Seneca was absolute on this point. He believed that the ability to say no is one of the most essential skills for living a truly meaningful life. Every yes you give to someone else is a potential no you are giving to yourself. Before you agree to anything, ask yourself 2 simple questions. Will this truly bring me closer to achieving my goals? Does this align with my core values? If the answer is no, you must learn to decline, politely but firmly. Your time is your most precious, non-renewable resource, and you have every right to aggressively protect it from intrusion and encroachment. Once you clear your schedule of everything superfluous and superficial, you will be amazed to discover how much time you actually have to start living your life, the one that belongs to you, not everyone else. Let's bring the wisdom of the Stoics into the 21st century. Today, we face a new, incredibly powerful time thief, one that Seneca never could have conceived of: our devices. The endless scroll of social media feeds, constant notifications, and short videos manage to suck hours out of our day. They are the perfect tool for procrastination, providing a constant hit of cheap dopamine and creating the illusion that we're being productive, learning something or connecting with others. But in truth, we are simply burning our lives on a digital pyre. Today, Stoicism can manifest itself as digital minimalism, a conscious, intentional approach to technology use. You must use the technology, it must not use you. Turn off all unnecessary notifications. Dedicate specific scheduled times for checking social media. Don't do it every 5 minutes. Use apps to block distracting sites while you work. And before you pick up your phone, always ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is my goal? Be the master of your devices, not their slave. This is the essence of true modern Stoic practice. The delayed life syndrome has become a genuine epidemic today, and there are specific reasons for it. First, there's the pressure from the cult of success and the curated perfection we see on social media. We constantly scroll through other people's filtered and photoshopped lives, convincing ourselves that our own isn't good enough yet. We feel we must first achieve that ideal level of success. Then, and only then, will our real life begin. Secondly, we face the paradox of choice. With so many options available, we become paralyzed by the fear of committing to just one. What if I pick the wrong career, the wrong partner, or the wrong place to live? Out of fear of making a mistake, we often choose nothing at all, leaving us stranded at square one. Third, there is the overarching instability of the world. When the future feels this uncertain and foggy, the temptation is strong to simply freeze and wait for things to clear up. But, as the philosopher Seneca warned, waiting is the most profoundly losing strategy. Life isn't suddenly going to become simpler, more stable, or more ideal. It will always remain chaotic and unpredictable. The only viable way to deal with this is to learn how to operate effectively amid uncertainty. You must start living right now, in this very chaos. Let me offer you a paradoxical yet incredibly effective method rooted in Stoic philosophy. Try creating an anti-schedule. Normally, we schedule our tasks, work, meetings, projects. We then squeeze everything else, life, rest, hobbies, into the gaps that are left over, if any gaps remain at all. The anti-schedule works completely in reverse. First, you firmly block out time for life in your calendar. For example, every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. is dedicated to drawing, and this is non-negotiable. Every morning from 8 shag to 8:30, I walk in the park without my phone. Saturdays are reserved for family, and absolutely no work interferes. You are reserving time for rest, hobbies, socializing, and simply doing nothing. Only then do you schedule your work and other responsibilities around these immovable blocks. This completely shifts your priorities. You stop treating your personal life as residual time. Instead, you make it the very foundation of your day. And you will be surprised to find that not only does your work fit into the remaining time, but it also becomes significantly more productive because you approach it rested, rejuvenated, and fully present. Ultimately, no amount of advice or inspiring quotes will ever work unless you find your deep internal why. You need your own personal fire, your own necessary kickstart. That driver could be a major dream, a powerful passion, or a core value you hold dear. Sit down in silence and ask yourself these questions. What genuinely matters to me? What do I want my legacy to be? If I only had 1 year left, how would I spend every moment of it? The answers might be frightening, but they are the compass that will point you in the right direction. Define your personal mission statement. It doesn't have to be something world-changing or global. It could be as simple as to be the best parent I can be for my children, or to create the most welcoming garden in the neighbourhood. This mission becomes your undeniable compass. Every time you face a choice, binge watching a series or working toward your goal, ask yourself, which option moves me closer to fulfilling my mission? When you have a powerful why, the questions of how and when become secondary. You simply start taking action because you can't not do it. This internal commitment is the most reliable engine you possess, the one thing that will stop you from postponing your life. Theory is great, but practice changes everything. That's why I want to offer you a small, 1-week experiment. This is your chance to turn everything you've heard into actual concrete action. Right now, as soon as you finish watching this video, pick just one task. Only one. That one thing you've been putting off for months, maybe even years. Maybe it's learning the first 100 words in a new language, writing the first page of your book, finally organising that disaster zone of the closet, or maybe calling that person you've been meaning to connect with. Got your task? Now here is the assignment. For the next 7 days, you will dedicate just 15 minutes a day to that specific task. No more. Set a timer and simply work. 15 minutes is practically nothing. You won't have the excuse that you don't have enough time or energy. But over the course of the week, that adds up to almost 2 hours of focused time dedicated to fixing your postponed life. And most importantly, you will shatter the barrier of inertia. You will prove to yourself that you can do it. And maybe, after this week, you won't want to stop at all. This is your first step out of the audience seats and onto the stage of your own life. So, what's the takeaway? Seneca's profound and perhaps brutal truth boils down to this. Life doesn't happen in the future. It happens this very second. The past is gone. It exists only in our memory. The future isn't here yet. It exists only in our imagination. The only thing we truly possess is this fragile, fleeting now. And every time we say later, we are voluntarily abandoning the only real segment of our lives. We've uncovered the traps of fear and perfectionism, utilised powerful Stoic tools like memento mori, remember death, and premeditatio malorum, premeditating evils, and learned to focus on the process, not the outcome. The main conclusion is simple. Stop waiting. Stop preparing. There is no perfect moment. There is no perfect self. There is only you, right here, right now, and you have everything you need to take one small step. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. If you found it helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new portions of wisdom for navigating modern life. Now for the most important question for you, leave your answer in the comments below. What is the one very first thing you will start doing today, immediately after watching this video?